Hello, fellow COVID people. I'm on Sunset Boulevard without a mask. And yes, I don't have COVID because I've become a politician or a doctor that is immune to COVID. You can too if you join the Politicians for Life Club. Politicians for Life Club costs you only $10,000. And then after you reach that limit of $10,000, you can make deals with the Russians or with Ukrainians or anybody else in the world, and then you too can offer them special deals by being a politician. Yes, you can. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, it's totally wide open. And with that, have a nice day and happy COVID.
And now, live from the South Pole, opposite of Santa's winter holiday home, we bring to you a fireside presidential press conference with Eric Baer.
Shoot out a question, what you thinking?
All right, Eric. So, since you're my best friend and all, I just want to ask you, a couple questions and get your opinion on things that have, circulate around the media nowadays. The negative, the positive, everything. So, my first question is going to be, you live in LA area and,
Yes.
You deal with a lot of crime and just unfortunate events. And one of the biggest things circulating on media right now is, do you agree with Eric Garcetti that the police should be defunded? And when he says defund the police and people chant defund the police, does that mean they're trying to abolish the police, so no police force at all on the streets of, the United States or in California or in Los Angeles, whatever the cause may be?
Break that down real quick. So the first thing is defunding the police. I did speak. I played 3 videos on my YouTube already. I made it very clear on there that I don't feel that we should take money away from the police departments. If anything, there should be more. But what I do feel is that the union should be abolished from the police departments. The union, I feel, is the problem. There was 17 counts of abuse with that one officer that did that to Mr. Floyd, and the union kept getting him back in. Now, I believe that there's purposes for the union, and especially with, but I know we're not talking about the union necessarily, but just a blurb here, especially for companies that don't treat their employees right, I feel like that you should have a union there because, but on the flip side, police officers are servants of the people. They enforce the law. The U.S. military does not have a union, and therefore I do not think that the police should have a union. I don't think that government workers, meaning government workers in government offices, should be in a union. They have too much of a layer, and then they don't end up serving the citizens properly. So that's my first thing, is defund the union. The union should be done and over with for all those folks. Second part of that question is, can you help me remember a second part of that on the, so I talked about defunding, I talked about...
Yeah, before we get to the second question too, you made a good point when you said there shouldn't be a police union. Now, my opinion and a question for you is that, do you think the unions aren't paying the police force enough and that's why they're not getting the proper training, which leads to a lot of violence happening on the streets with the police officers and the people?
That's a great question. I feel that that the police, if they had a unified training, where if they were a division of each state military, in other words, Rhode Island State Police, and all of the police was not sectioned off into different places, or Pennsylvania or New York or whatever. Everybody has a unified training program for that state. It's still states' rights. It's not coming from the feds. It's a states' rights issue. So the California State Guard should be the one to train the police. It should be a unified program, and it should be very stringent, and they're not going into military combat. They're a division of the police department, and they're serving on the streets and they have also a degree of decorum where they have more education that they need. I think that sending a police officer out with just a little bit of education or just going through police school, you're not getting a full flavor of that. They should have they should have a 4-year degree, and then after that they should have also the police training. The police training is wrapped up in that. It's solid. Obviously, we don't want police officers not going out and being able to protect themselves or other officers, but that needs to be, I mean, I've seen some crazy things that police officers do. I'm thinking, there's no way they taught that in the military. So that's my answer to that question.
Awesome. Good job, Eric. I love your answers are wonderful to hear. All right, so you basically answered the second question, which is, do you think we should, or, the state should abolish the police, the police force? But no, if you have the proper training and, like you said, they go to school, get that 4-year degree and have some more training afterwards. Because now, I have a friend of mine who went to, he did his police training, and it's just like a 2-year program at a community college, and then you go and be a cadet. But did that really teach you, the proper things and, the police force or anything, and that's why all the crime happens between police officers and the people, and, and
well, the other thing,
inequality.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just to jump in there, deadly force presents deadly force. In other words, if there's no weapon present, there's no reason for you to use deadly force. That's what I feel, and that officers should be trained that way. That's the way, it's the same thing in the military. If a soldier shoots somebody that doesn't have, any weapon on them, that was not the right thing to do. That's more of a prisoner type thing. But if they start attacking the soldier, they have a knife on them or something else, or maybe charging them with a brick or a Molotov cocktail or something like that. And if you did that to me, I have a gun on my hand or something else, I am going to defend myself because you're coming at me with deadly force, period. So that's deadly force means deadly force. If it's not deadly force, you need to readjust your thoughts and think through, okay, how am I going to disarm this person in a civilized manner and not go overkill, which, yes, the police have done that. And again, I still blame the unions for that because they've rescued them so many times from that. But
all right, and then on to another question that has been circulating in the media. Speaking about the police force, a lot of minority communities suffer from, police officers' abuse. And when we talk about that, we kind of talk about privilege, right? So think if you're on the street and you're driving, you get pulled over. How do you feel that your privilege stands out compared to others? Or how do you feel about the term white privilege and how it's used in recent society as a white man?
So I'm going to need a drink before I answer that. Can you please have my beverage of 7-Up? No, the other one. The other one. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we're sponsoring 7-Up here, everyone.
7-Up. So, let's put this over here. The first time I ever heard this white privilege thing, I gotta tell you, it was very, very laughable. So, I'm heading to Searchlight. I'm going to Las Vegas. I'm going to pick up my kids at the airport. I got my little Mustang. I get the top down, and I'm going about 90, 95 up Searchlight, which it was okay. It's a little over the speed limit, but nobody's ever really done or said anything there, and it's pretty much wide open desert. So just having a little fun out there, listening to radio. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm super hungry. I'm getting tired. I need a coffee. I gotta, take a pit stop. And there's my little favorite little gas station place there at Searchlight. So I knew it was right up over the hill, and I was just trying to hurry to get there. Well, as soon as they came up over the hill, I'm doing my 90 and a 45. And so I missed that transition. Right there's the officer, turns on his lights, everything else, so I'm pulling over. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to hold everything. And so the officer comes up and he says, do you know why I stopped you? I said, well, I think I missed that transition. He said, yeah, you did, about 45 miles an hour. And the only prayer that I could think of at the time was, "Dear Jesus, please don't let me go to jail. I want to pick up my kids at the airport, at the Los Angeles airport." So the officer comes back. He writes me a ticket for wasting the environment. And little did I know that it was only a $70 ticket. I called up, a couple, 3 days later, and it was a $70 ticket. But the officer was like, and I said, "Well, I don't understand. I'm wasting the environment. What is that?" And he says, "Well, sir, you're wasting the environment. You're going too fast." I said, "Well, I don't understand." He said, "Look, I didn't write you up for not wearing tennis shoes. I didn't write you up for not wearing a seatbelt. I like your flag. I like the color of your car. And you're respectful. Have a nice day, sir." And I think that at other times, talking about white privilege, I have been disrespectful to the officer. I can remember one time I was going through my divorce. I yelled at the officer. He came back with 3 tickets. So, so I think you get what you kind of play with sometimes. And I think if you listen to the officers and you do what you're told to do, if there is a problem, I'm not saying the system's flawless, but if there is a problem, that's the next day where I talk about my videos. You go and you talk to the chief of the police. You go or you talk to the newspaper. You talk to somebody and get it off your chest and let them know that you're watching and that you're a taxpayer and that you care about the system. And I'm saying that. Oh, you're saying, "Oh, that's because you're white." No. And by the way, I told this to a girl that I used to work with, and right away she's like, "Oh, that's some white privilege," and I was like. And it was the first time I'd ever heard that. That's getting back to that answer. And I don't think that that's fair to do to somebody, first of all. I've never led a privileged life. I started working in the factories. Basically, got paid minimum wage when I first got out of high school. I went to military school, which my folks did pay for that. But then I wanted to kind of see the other side of the world, so I didn't go to college, and I chose that route. So if anybody's living a white privileged life, it's certainly not me. I mean, I told the Latino guys that were the dishwashers, I always had a great conversation with them at my last job and also other jobs. And I encouraged them that, hey, I worked my way up to this place, and you can do the same thing. This is America. It's wide open. Don't limit yourself by your ethnicity. If you're limiting yourself because, "Oh, I'm Latino, oh, I'm black, I'm this, or I'm that," you did it to yourself. Nobody did that to you. So you need to not do that. And my dad used to say this: walk in like you own the place. Come in with a big smile. Come in with an accepting heart. How you doing today? Look the person in the eye, shake their hand, and just be a great person. And people are going to be like, "Oh, wow, what a relatable person." It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It matters what's in here, my friend. And so if you come in with negative energy, you think, "Nobody ever gives me anything." Why would I give you a job? It no matter if you're white, yellow, purple. I'd be like, I'm going to go get somebody that's going to, want to work and want to have a nice smile for the guests that come to my store or whatever business you're having, right? Common sense. So I don't believe in this white privilege. I think it's a fabrication of the socialists to gain ground, to divide our country further on the racism. And if you look at my other videos from Brandon, who's a Navajo, American Indian, he's got 3 videos up there now, and I've got a 4th one coming up. And you can listen to any of his thoughts. He says basically the same thing, and I'm not coaching him what to say. He said it of his own fruition. So this is just a bogus thing that people are making up to control people and make them feel bad for being white. And I was born this way. You were born a certain way. Each one of us needs to accept each other for how God brought us into this world. And the people I find that are most unaccepting are the ones that don't have God in their life.